Never be afraid to love. Never be afraid to just be. Cast away the chains of doubt. Have the courage to be free. Don't cast your eyes on others' lives. See only what you want to be. You've got to duplicate these simple truths. Have the courage to be free. Open your eyes, you can fly. Open your eyes, you can fly. You can fly. You can fly. Never be afraid to love. Never be afraid to just be. Cast away the chains of doubt. Have the courage to be free. Don't cast your eyes on others' lives. Be only what you want to be. You've got to duplicate these simple truths. Have the courage to be free. Open your eyes, you can fly. Open your eyes, you can fly. You can fly. You can fly. Open up your eyes, you can fly. Open your eyes, you can fly. 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 Never be afraid to love. Fly. Never be afraid to just be, to just be, to just be gone and fly.
Thank you, Sister Destiny Muhammad, for reminding us that we can fly. We're greater than we can imagine. Thank you for being in ministry with us today, with me today. I have known Destiny Muhammad for many years, decades in fact, decades. And yet, there has never been a time when I've been in the presence of Destiny Muhammad where I haven't been, of course, uplifted by her supreme musical talent, but there's never been a time when there hasn't been a Christwell Muhammad, the wind beneath Destiny's wings. Thank you so much for the example that you set. And good morning, heart and soul. Good morning to all of you who are so beautifully arrayed here in our sanctuary on Racine Street in Oakland, California. Thank you for all of you who are joining through the live stream broadcast or through Zoom, however you're getting here. We are so grateful that you are here. You're not here by accident. You're in the right place. If you don't know me, if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Reverend Angelo Allen. I am, as was mentioned, a staff minister here at Heart and Soul Center of Light and have been for, well, 15 years now. We're in our 15th year of ministry. That is an amazing thing. And while I have spoken at Heart and Soul on many occasions, more than I can remember, actually. Every occasion is the deepest honor for me to stand in this particular pulpit where our own Reverend Dr. Andriette Earle comes forth with such love, such intention, such wisdom, such purpose, lifting up not only those who are present to hear her talk, but far beyond that. She is well known and well loved everywhere. So wherever you are right now, Reverend Dr. Andriette, enjoy your day off. Know that it's all handled. And I am, of course, deeply honored to be holding down the pulpit, as it were. So, wow, you know, we have arrived now at near the end of June. It's kind of amazing to think about. It feels like just yesterday, at least to me, that it was New Year's Day. And we were, you know, projecting our deepest intention for all that would be ours to be, do, and have in 2024. And that's going to be kind of like the crux of my talk, you know, like, how's it going? So be thinking about that. But here's another important point about June insofar as Heart and Soul is concerned. June is a power month for us. It's a month of much celebration and much remembrance. All month long, as you know, we celebrate pride. We celebrate and lift up the LGBTQ plus community and their history of resilience and love, showing up as God in the ongoing struggle for equality. That is something that we all aspire to do, to step into our God being with pride. We also celebrate Juneteenth. And here we are, happy Juneteenth. Juneteenth, of course, being the day that, well, it's June 19th, the official federal holiday that has finally been enacted by Congress. And Juneteenth marks the historic occasion where the last people who were uniformed in Texas, the last black people who did not know that the end of the American system of chattel slavery was no more. That day is marked for celebration to this very day. It's also not just an opportunity for us to come together in barbecues and get-togethers, but as an opportunity to teach, an opportunity to lift up, an opportunity to stand forth for Black history, which of course is American history. It must be taught, and we will see to it, yes? Yes. Absolutely. Last Sunday in this Power Month of June was Father's Day, and our own beloved Dr. Will Coleman was here. And he brought his talk, Our Father, wherein he lifted up the divine masculine, the tradition of the divine masculine, which is known through many traditions, and particularly his, where the relationship with the infinite divine was personal, known as Father. And he spoke to this continuing tradition, and it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with those who step into the role of fatherhood, the role of protector, the role of provider, the role of supporter, the role of love, the divine masculine. So we lift up the triumph also of Dr. Will's own family, in which this tradition, this torch of fatherhood, was recently passed with the transition of his own father into Dr. Will's care. And now he's the patriarch of his family, we get to be that in our own lives and in our own families as well. And finally, just last Thursday was the summer solstice. Summer solstice being the longest, or the day that has the longest daylight hours as opposed to nighttime hours. It's the inverse of the winter solstice, which has the shortest number of hours. And what we want to remember and lift up is it's a natural cycle. And we want to pay attention to natural cycles. We want to pay attention to those things that point to the fact that there is a season and a time for everything. Indigenous cultures around the world have been trying to teach over and over that we live according to natural cycles and not in spite of them. And so, for all of these reasons, we have come to this PowerPoint, or this point of power, in June. June 30th will mark the day that we have come a full half year since we proclaimed our intentions for all we would be, do, and have in 2024. And I asked a moment ago, and I'll ask again, how's it going? Because there's a question that's come up for me. And I have a feeling I'm not alone in the question. I have a feeling that the question is actually sort of like at the back of consciousness for everyone, no matter what age. Are you ready for the question? The question is, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? Where are the things that are my heart's desire? The things that I proclaimed would be mine, that I would experience. I'm not just talking about ethereal stuff. I'm talking about also three-dimensional stuff that you can appropriate with the 5 physical senses. For myself, I'm talking about all kinds of things. Maybe it's, well, here's an example. I have never traveled first class. I've never even traveled business class. And I've got this funny little ritual that I do whenever I travel. When I get on the plane, or I get on the train, or I get on the cruise ship, whatever it is, and I have to kind of like walk past the people who are in first class or business class, and I very briefly tell myself, oh, they think they're special. They're just like me. They're just riding in the wider seats, the leather seats, the comfortable seats. I don't need all that. The seat is good. We're all going to the same place on the same plane. That's what I tell myself. But in truth, I have said, I'm going to fly first class. I'm going to do it in 2024. I haven't done it. I haven't gone business class either. So what I'm lifting up is that, this idea of stuff and experience and three-dimensional things in our life, I want to call it our heart's desire, it can show up in my life, maybe in yours too, somewhat inconsistently. Despite the fact that we're praying for stuff, despite the fact that we're claiming in our loudest voice, this is what I am, this is what I'm going to have. And it's sometimes hit and miss. I don't know. Sometimes I don't get what I say I want. Sometimes after I say I want something, an hour later, I can't even remember what it was that I said. And it's not until I'm somewhere else down the road and I see somebody else with this very stuff that I said was going to be mine, that I realize, oh man, something happened here. What could have possibly gone wrong? Sometimes I actually pray for something and I get spectacular results. And I don't want to suggest to you that I don't get spectacular results. All of us do. We all, and, excuse me, I am talking about a word that I've been trying to avoid to say, and this is where Dr. Andriette says there's no need resisting, just go with it. The word that I've been trying not to say is manifest. We're all manifesting to the best of our ability. But what does manifest even mean? The reason why I resist the word is because it doesn't come up in common parlance very often. I mean, how often do you say, well, I guess I'll manifest dinner? Guess I'll manifest getting married, or whatever it might be. It doesn't come up in common parlance, but it's an ancient word. It really means to bring into our physical reality experience that which exists as a perfect idea in the mind of the infinite divine, the mind of God. Downloading from that mind into our present experience. For those of you who are in the sanctuary and you see the teaching symbol on the wall, that's what that V stands for. Spirit's descent into form. And that is what we are, ostensibly supposed to be doing. So how's it been going? Are you getting all the stuff that we've got somebody here who is getting all the stuff. Is anybody kind of like getting some of the stuff and some of the not? Yeah, there are several of us who are having that experience, and maybe, some of us are just saying we want stuff. However, I want to offer that maybe there are some reasons why we don't more consistently get the stuff, get the things, get our heart's desire, the things that our heart is craving. So now the first reason why I think it sort of gets torpedoed a little bit is because we're inconsistent about what we want. And maybe I ought to say I'm more inconsistent about what I want. I say I want one thing, and yet my behavior, the way I'm thinking about it, would lead in a different direction. We live in a mental universe that reflects back to us at the level of our thinking. So if I'm saying and claiming one thing, but there is all of the rest of me that's trying to do something else that is in sort of opposition of that, well, the Spirit just says yes and okay. You get kind of like the watered down version of what you want if you get it at all. So we need to be more consistent about what we say we want and how we be with what we say we want. The other, or an other, reason why we may not manifest as brilliantly or as consistently as we'd like is that we have a low intensity of desire for what we want. This one is important. A low intensity of desire comes about in a number of ways. It is not uncommon where you say yes to something that you say you want, but it's really something that somebody else wants for you. I remember as a young man, college bound, I really wanted to be a creative writer. I wanted to write books. And I come from a family that highly prizes the professions. So when I was asked, oh, now that you're getting ready to go to Rutgers, what do you want to do with your life? Well, I'm going to write books. I'm going to write the great American novel. I remember my relatives looking at me like, uh-huh. have you thought about law school? Have you thought about medical school? And I was like, no, I'm kind of want to write books. And they were like, well, do you know what the odds are of getting published? I imagine that when people step up to say they want to be a musician, that sometimes folks can say, well, now, you know, there's a lot of people trying to be musicians. And if one is not careful, if one is a young Angelo, one can succumb to an idea. I basically kind of split the baby with my family. I decided to become a technical writer. With the advent of technology, it seemed like a perfect fit. I could use my writing ability and I could make money. But I had abandoned my heart's desire, which was to write like Toni Morrison writes. I actually met Toni Morrison when I was 20 years old. I had the extreme privilege of being in a one-on-one situation. She came to the school for something. And I had a chance to ask her, you know, like, what does it take to be a writer? What do you got to know? She said, writing is rewriting. Don't give up and all of this. And I gave up. We must not have a low intensity for what we want because somebody else wants something else for us or for any other reason. The thing you want, your heart's desire, has to burn brightly in order for spirit to get the message, in order for spirit to be performative in the way that you want this manifestation of your life dream to happen. The last reason why it can be kind of really hit and miss in terms of manifesting our heart's desire is because, well, frankly, we have crazy ideas about the very fact that we desire something in the first place. We sometimes think that it's not spiritual to have desires. We attach desire to earthy things, things of the flesh, or however you want to frame that. Well, I want to help us dispense with that line of thinking. Desire is a fundamental creative force. It is the motive force behind all manifestation in our reality. Let there be light. That is a statement of desire. The infinite divine calling into creation all that there is. Why? Because it was wanted, because it was desired. There is nothing non-spiritual. Desire is an expression of your divine potential. All that you can be, all that you want to be is wrapped up in your desire to have it. And when you focus on your desires with clarity and conviction, you align with universal laws and principles of attraction and creation. That's what we teach. This is a metaphysical church. For anybody that's new and watching online, this is what we're all about. And we believe it is in alignment with what Yeshua, whom the world came to call Jesus, actually taught and was teaching during his all too short ministry. We don't need to hang on to the crazy idea that having desire is somehow non-spiritual. Another crazy idea is that, well, it's selfish of me to focus on my desire. You know, it somehow stunts my spiritual growth to be focused on me. Let go of that, please. Let go of that and understand that when we pay attention to what we genuinely want, we gain insights into ourselves and into our life purpose. It's important to have insight into your life purpose. But how can you have that insight if you don't have the desire to be an artist, to be a minister, to be whomever you are in the world, a parent, a teacher, whatever it is? It is also, I'm trying to come up with the right way to phrase this, because it's a big one. And it's very simply, I don't deserve what I desire. You get to be right. The universe says yes to everything that you put into it. You don't want to necessarily put that into it. You need to know who you are. I want to tell you this story. It's the story of little Angelo. Little Angelo was 11. And I remember clearly because I was living with my mother and my aunt at that time. And my mother was a petite New England woman, very kind of proper and, straight-laced, very straightforward, not abounding in a lot of emotional force in a very, kind of like demonstrative way. But she could make herself felt and known in subtle but powerful ways. And on this particular occasion, when I was 11, my mother and I were the exact same height. We were both exactly 5 feet tall. She marked the occasion on like a door jamb, measured me off and said, hey, we're the same height now. And I don't remember what it was that inspired this conversation, but I had asked to go somewhere with some friends or do something, and she didn't think that was a good idea. She so much was in the process of telling me, well, no, I'm not crazy about that group of people, or whatever, I don't even remember. And in the middle of her trying to explain why she didn't think it was a good idea, I did one of these. Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. Sucking of the teeth. The whole body attitude. My mother froze, and she looked at me with this look. It wasn't like there was a ton of anger in her face. Everything was in her eyes. It was like, you ever see Wild Kingdom? Where the lioness is stalking the gazelle, just looking. And my mother began to move across the room. We were only separated by maybe 3 or 4 paces. Her hand went behind her back, and she walked directly over to me until we were practically nose to nose. And she said, young man, you forget yourself. She was right. I had forgotten about the importance of the relationship that we had. I had forgotten about the certain rules and ways of being that there are wrapped up in that relationship. I absolutely have forgotten about the power dynamic. And in that moment, all I could do was say, I'm sorry, Mom. She didn't say a word. She just continued to hold that stare. And when she was done, she released me from it by simply turning and walking away. And that was the last we ever said about that. But I never showed that attitude again, not even as a grown man. But here's what I am telling you. You, child of God, you forget yourself. You forget who you are. You are inheritors of the great infinite divine, you are made out of creator. You're made of creator stuff. You are a co-creator. That is why you are here. And you are loved beyond measure. More than we can possibly imagine. Reverend Dr. Andrea says it all the time. More than humanly possible. You are loved, and you are inheritors of all that God is, all love, all wisdom, all power, all grace, all generosity. Spirit, God, whatever you want to call him. I know some people have an allergy to the word God. It's okay, because God doesn't care what you call it. God is all right and loves you no matter whether you acknowledge God, call God by various names. God wants you to have what you want, even if what you want is stuff that other people think you shouldn't have. Even if what you want doesn't fit a particular lifestyle or a particular social or political agenda. You get to have what you want. And this is not just Reverend Angelo making it up for you and, hoping to inspire hope and you'll spring to your feet and go, I'm going to use my God power. It's written down. It's written down, and you all have experienced some of the ways that it has been explained in Scripture. So this is where you might want to take a note. Luke 12 and 32. You know that one, where the master teacher says, fear not, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. What does that even mean? What is the kingdom? Well, the kingdom is that infinite mind where exists everything in perfection. Call it heaven, call it what you will, call it the mind of God. It is that space that you are welcome to make your request, to make your demand. God entertains demand. God's not mad at you because you say, I want that and I want it now. God is like, okay. You have that privilege because you are so loved. This bit of scripture, it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, is often misquoted. It's often quoted as, it is the Father's pleasure to give you the keys to the kingdom. It's not so. It's not what is written. It's not what is inferred. It is not, idiomatically in the ancient languages, there's no concept of a key for this. A key suggests that there's something that is locked away from you, that you got to open up and get to somehow. You freely enter the divine parent's kingdom of perfect ideas. And you take what you want. There is other scripture that supports it. You're all familiar with Matthew 7, 7 and 8, I know, where it is said, ask. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek. I heard it. Seek, and what? You shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and everyone that seeks finds, and everyone that knocks gets it opened. We are not restricted. We are not bound. We are not blocked from our good. Our stuff is at hand. We can have it. I can go first class. So can you. In all ways. Yes, we do. There's some of us who enjoy that. Thank you for showing that it is possible, Dr. Felicia. She's like, is there another way to go? I appreciate that very much. But even Dr. Ernest Holmes, who, he is the founder of this thing we call Centers for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind, which of course congruent with all of the major religions that say the same thing, the things that I've been saying all along. He says, with regard to manifesting your heart's desire, he said, the good we desire is the desire of the infinite for us. That means what you want, God wants. God doesn't want you to not have what you want. He also said, your desire for health, happiness, and success is but the eternal urge of life seeking expression through you. Life is seeking expression through you in broader and more expansive ways. That's why you're here, to let it happen. To have life and have it more. Y'all are with it. I don't know why I'm standing up here. So I think that it's important to know in the final analysis when it comes to downloading your heart's desire, getting your stuff and asking for your stuff, it's not what you're asking for. It's what you're asking with. I have suggested to you in the past, and I'll just say it again. There is this idea that your brain is this great transmitter that corresponds with the divine. I'm going to suggest to you that that's not true. That your brain is not the seat of the most powerful thought. Your brain is actually more like a radio receiver where you are able to receive insight, guidance, and wisdom from the divine. The signal out comes through another organ, another thinking center that is the most powerful thinking center, and it's not up here. I have said, and I don't think I'm really going to do it, but I have said that I will put a tattoo on my forehead that says, don't believe anything that comes out of this box. Because I know that that is not the real thinking center that matters. The thinking centers that matters is the heart. When you feel your heart's desire with all of the brilliance of a million suns, you feel that explosion of, yes, this is perfect, this is exactly what I want, exactly what I need, and I have it now, and I feel that excitement now, and that right there is what Spirit hears and responds to instantly. When I say instantly, I mean there is no transmission of time, no transmission of space. There's no time and space in God. God responds instantly. If we are having that big charge of heart-expressed feeling and we're holding the charge, that's the other part. You can't be like me and, have this maybe a big moment and then forget an hour later that you even had the thought that you wanted something. You got to hold on to that feeling. That's your golden egg. That's your golden ticket. It's the thing that you want to focus on again and again and constantly. Not that it's coming, not that it's some future event, but that I have it now, regardless of the appearances. I have it right now. The universe has no ability to resist you. Why? Because you're a co-creator with God. The universe can only say yes. The law of attraction is principle that must respond at the level of your thinking, that must respond that which you claim in the name of the most holy divine. And so you need to focus on what you desire with deep intensity and deep consistency. This is valuable for us, I hope, because we've got half a year left to get it right for everything that we claim for 2024. Now, I know, in the few minutes that I have left, perhaps it sounds easy or like, well, maybe another question arises. Exactly how do I do that, Reverend Angelo? Exactly how do I, is there a technique? Well, maybe. I think there are lots of techniques that people have found. I'm going to show one to you. Reverend Sonia, may I please have the summer school slide again? Because we're up to some stuff in summer school. When June is over, we move into July, and summer school will be upon us, our 15th summer school. I'm bringing up the slide because of that little red book that looks a lot like this one. This little red book is one technique that you might use. I want to tell you this aside. When I first arrived, I was kind of like moving through the space today, and I encountered Destiny right in the hallway. And the book slipped out of my folder. She saw it, and like within a half second, she said, I'll take it if you don't want it. Because she knows about this book. This book has been in publication for 98 years. And it's only, 4 inches by maybe 3.5 inches or something like that. It is a powerful book. It is entitled, It Works. And the author's name is R.H.J. It's also called the famous little red book. It hasn't changed in all this time. Why? Because it actually does work. I'm going to invite you, first of all, come to summer school. Second of all, order this book. Buy this book. If you haven't purchased it already, buy it. It costs $4 on Amazon.com. $4. You'll have it in 24 hours or so. And once you have it, all I'm going to do is ask you to read it. It's about 30 pages that are like, there's a lot of space on the pages. And it takes, even when I'm trying to just savor all the words, it takes me about 15 minutes to read this entire book, from It Works to printed in the USA. I want you to read it. Don't do anything else. Then read it again. Take 30 minutes out of your busy 24-hour period and read the book twice, back to back. If you have occasion to read it before you go to bed, read it one more time. Read it daily until summer school. Don't do anything else. There are instructions in here, brief instructions about specific ways. We're going to touch on that more in summer school. But you know what? I want you to oil the pump. I want you to be ready. I want you to take something as a simple little red book that has been around for 100 years. It's been around that long for a reason, because it works. So here's what I want to say also, and then I'm going to close. I've already said you can have what you want. That Spirit doesn't have any particular judgment about the things that you desire. There is one caveat, however, that you should know about. All of our desires, the stuff that we want, should be positive and aligned with divine qualities, aligned with the intentions of universal mind, those things: beauty, truth, generosity, peace, abundance, joy. Those should be the backbone of your desire. Now, you can desire other things. The Spirit is not going to stop you. But if you desire to hurt or cause harm, remember, we live in a reflexive universe. And you will effectively receive some rebound with whatever you are requesting, whatever you are claiming that you want as your heart's desire. And if you're confused about what your heart truly desires and what you want to manifest for the remainder of 2024 and beyond, I want to advise you to consider the words of the Apostle Paul in his epistle in Philippians 4:8. This is what he said. He said, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Thank you.
Whatsoever things of joy and peace, whatsoever things bring harmony, think on these things. When you understand the master plan of love and joy for everyone at hand, think on these things. You've got to think on these things, for as a man thinks, so it shall be. You've got to think on these things, for as you think, so it shall be. Give yourself permission to believe everything you want you can achieve when you think on good things. Open up your mind and heart, all hurt and fear will soon depart when you think on good things. You've got to think on these things, for as a man thinks, so it shall be. You've got to think on these things, for as you think, so it shall be. God has the power to move mountains across the sea. Change your mind, change your life today. Give yourself permission to believe everything you want you can achieve when you think on good things. Open up your mind and heart, all hurt and fear will soon depart when you think on good things. You've got to think on these things, for as a man thinks, so it shall be. You've got to think on these things, for as you think, so it shall be. You've got to think on these things, for as a man thinks, so it shall be. You have got to think on these things, for as you think, as you think, as you think, so it shall be.